Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Every single year, millions of us look at buying a townhouse, maybe a sleek new apartment, or a place in a secure estate, and we just sign on the dotted line without actually reading the fine print. We see the term sectional title, we assume it just means we get a title deed, and we move our stuff in. But then fast forward maybe 6 months, and suddenly you're hit with these massive financial shocks, angry disputes with neighbors, and just endless confusion about who's supposed to fix a leaking roof. Well, today we are going to clear that fog completely. We'll be breaking down exactly how sectional title ownership actually works, bringing absolute clarity to a topic that confuses so many buyers, and just making sure you know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you spend your hard-earned money. We've got a packed agenda for you today. We're going to cover what did you actually buy, the body corporate explained, who is the managing agent, solving sectional title problems, common mistakes to avoid, and finally, what to do before you buy. Let's just jump right in. Section 1. What did you actually buy? The reality of sectional title ownership. Okay, picture this for a second. You just signed all the paperwork and they're standing there in your brand new, completely empty apartment. You're holding the keys, looking around at the fresh paint and the pristine floors, and you're naturally thinking to yourself, this is it. This is my castle. But we really need to radically challenge that assumption right now. Buying a section is not the same as owning an entire freestanding building on your own private plot of land. When you share walls, roofs, and driveways with 50 other people, that my castle mindset, it's actually a trap. Your mindset literally needs to shift from isolation to integration from day one. Because the reality is, sectional title ownership means you become part of a living, breathing ecosystem. You aren't just buying an isolated unit. You're buying into a shared community that holds the collective responsibility for the management and maintenance of the entire scheme. Think about it like being on a boat with your neighbors. If the guy on the other side of the boat decides to drill a hole under his seat, you can't just say, well, that's his problem, my side is dry, right? A leak in the top floor apartment's roof impacts the structural integrity and the financial health of the entire building. You are all in the exact same boat. Let's get super specific here. When you buy your unit, let's just call it apartment 12 for now, you do not individually own the roof over your head. No, really. You don't individually own the pipes hidden inside the exterior walls. That automated entrance gate you drive through every morning, the beautifully manicured communal gardens, the swimming pool, the driveway, you don't own them outright. These elements actually fall under what's called common property. You share the ownership and therefore the maintenance costs of these elements with everyone else in the complex. And this dynamic is exactly why this specific setup requires collective, organized management. Moving on to Section 2, the body corporate explained, moving from customer to participant. Now, this right here, this is where the biggest mindset shift literally has to happen. So many new buyers transition from renting to owning, but they keep their tenant mindset. They view the body corporate as some shadowy external corporate landlord. They think, well, someone must manage this place for me. But the truth is, the body corporate is literally just you and all your neighbors. Think of it like buying shares in a publicly traded company. You aren't just consuming the product anymore. You are a shareholder with voting rights, liabilities, and responsibilities. You're not a customer ordering room service. You're an active participant. And if the company sinks, your investment sinks right along with it. Section 3. Who is the managing agent? Hired help, not the landlord. So, if the owners are the actual decision makers and the true governors of the scheme, who on earth is the managing agent? Honestly, this is a massive point of confusion. The body corporate is the collective of owners who govern, but the managing agent, they are merely a professional service provider appointed to assist with the paperwork, the administration, and the daily management. They're the hired help. They don't own the complex, and more importantly, they operate strictly within the authority given to them by the body corporate. They aren't the boss of you, and they certainly don't replace active owner participation. Which leads us to Section 4, solving sectional title problems, a framework for owners. Look, we've all heard the horror stories, or maybe you've even lived through them. A pipe bursts, a gate breaks, or a neighbor's dog barks all night. The natural human reaction is to immediately look for an authority figure to complain to, right? People angrily call the managing agent at 2 in the morning, demanding they come fix a broken light bulb in their lounge, only to be told they are legally responsible for their own light bulbs. Barking up the wrong tree in a sectional title scheme will only lead to intense frustration, massive delays, and escalating tempers, mainly because it completely ignores the legal realities of how responsibility is actually divided. So, I want you to completely ditch that impulse to just fire off an angry complaint. Instead, use this brilliant 3-step framework whenever an issue arises. Question 1, what exactly is the area or item?
Is it inside your unit's boundaries, or is it on the common property? Question 2, who is responsible for it based on the sectional plan? And question 3, what does the applicable rule or legal framework actually say? Skipping these steps is a guaranteed way to rack up expensive legal bills and fracture your neighborly relationships. By methodically answering these 3 questions first, you transform from a frantic complainer into an empowered owner.
Section 5. Common mistakes to avoid. Rapid fire myth busting.
Okay, let's rapid fire through some of the absolute most common traps we see owners fall into. Mistake 1, thinking the managing agent owns the place. Boom, we've already busted that one. Mistake 2, assuming trustees can do whatever they want. Actually, they can't. They're strictly bound by the scheme's governance rules and the law. Mistake 3, saying things like, well, I don't swim, so I shouldn't have to pay for the pool's upkeep. Remember, you bought into a shared community. Maintenance costs are shared regardless of your personal use. Mistake 4, treating your levy like rent. Listen really closely to this one. Your levy is the financial fuel for your own investment vehicle. It is not some landlord's profit margin. Mistake 5, skipping meetings. If you stay home, you're literally letting strangers decide the financial fate of your biggest asset. And finally, assuming a rigid inside is mine, outside is theirs rule. Always refer back to our 3-step framework instead of just guessing.
And finally, Section 6. Before you buy. Protecting your investment. Listen, if you're watching this explainer before you've actually purchased a property, please pay close attention. Imagine falling head over heels in love with these stunning granite countertops and a perfect balcony view, signing the papers and moving in. Then 2 months later, out of nowhere, you get hit with a special levy bill for $50,000 because the building's foundation is crumbling and the body corporate is totally bankrupt. You absolutely must investigate this scheme before buying. Ask the hard questions. What is the current levy? Are a large portion of owners in arrears? Are there massive special levies on the horizon? Buying a gorgeous apartment in a financially bankrupt scheme is a catastrophic investment.
Because as we established earlier, you're physically connected to the building, right? But it goes way deeper than that. You're legally and financially binding yourself to the baggage of the previous owners. When you buy sectional title, you are inheriting the scheme's bank balance, their specific and sometimes incredibly strict set of rules, decades of deferred maintenance, the quality of their past governance, and even the 10-year service provider contracts they might be locked into. Your individual investment is intrinsically tied to the collective financial reality of the entire community.
So, I want to leave you with this one final, really powerful thought to chew on. You can hire the absolute best professional managing agents in the country. You can elect the smartest, most dedicated trustees to the board. You can outsource the cleaning, the accounting, and all the daily maintenance. But at the end of the day, you cannot outsource ownership. The ultimate responsibility for the success, the harmony, and the financial health of your investment rests entirely with you. So ask yourself, are you just going to live in a box? Or are you ready to actually take ownership of your community?